What is going on, YouTube? Pass the prop back here today. We got multi-sport NBA and MLB ready for you today. Full every single team in action today. MLB. We got a 2-game NBA slate. Joined as always by my guy Stu. What's going on, man?
Nothing much. Like you said, a lot of stuff going on. Obviously, 2 games of NBA playoff basketball is not going to last forever, so I'm definitely still enjoying that. And yeah, big MLB slate today. My Nationals are doing well. They lost to the Orioles, but we got a good Red Sox series coming up here. So I'm fired up. I was just telling you before, probably going to head to my first game this weekend. I know you've been having some great luck when you're in the stadium. Hopefully I can harness some of that energy, maybe get myself a dinger or something like that. But I'll keep you guys updated on Twitter.
Yeah, I don't think my mom watches the show, so I should be good. We are going to the Brewer game for Mother's Day. She's coming down here. I'll be going to my 3rd or 4th Brewer game already at home. I obviously went to the Cubs one last weekend as well, so I'll be pushing the record right now as a non-season ticket holder for how many games I'm going to go to this year. So schedule obviously is very good for doing this, so it makes it a little bit easier for me to get it done. And yeah, it should be fun. They got the Cardinals who, dude, they just lit up Sonny Gray last night, bro. Like, what the really? Like, I was not expecting that at all. Yeah, it was a pretty good spot for us to see that.
Yeah, I was not tapped into yesterday's slate. There were only a couple games. I saw your Brewers obviously got the job done, but yeah, I took the day off yesterday from MLB for sure.
Yeah, well, I think we're coming back today with. I think you hit another long shot, right? You hit another long shot in extras. In extras, Baltimore looked like dog shit all game. But let's go through our first ones here because I don't even know. Did Acuna score? I have no idea.
No, he didn't end up scoring, unfortunately. Like 4 guys after him freaking scored a run. But Acuna got a rare offer for him. But yeah, made it back with the long shot. Shout out to Ryan Mountcastle in overtime. Oh my God. Not overtime, extras. You know what I'm talking about. My Discord got to see my live reaction for that one because I was mad that my team lost, obviously, but I was still fired up that we got the win right there. So shout out to Ryan Mountcastle. The guy hits dingers. You know what I'm saying? That's what he does. That's why we play him in the long shot. And yeah, he got the job done.
Yeah, and I mean, after watching that first little bit of that game, dude, I was not expecting anybody to do anything in that game. It looked really bleak, and then extra innings just goes crazy. I did a mini Baltimore stack on that day, and I probably had like 8 points between Adley, Mountcastle, and Mateo. And then we come around, and they all just end. I'm like, what the hell? My lineup up there. I'm like, I just completely just didn't even look at it. And wow, end up just moving almost into the cash and makes it a little more sweaty, yeah, it should be good. It was awesome to see and makes up for our 2 losers. I had Phillies. They looked like shit, man. I don't understand this team. I will not be backing them anymore. Them and the Rays, man. Like whenever you back them, they're just bad. They're just really bad. Giants are another team that come to mind when I do that. Not just recently, but a lot of the time, like even in my group, man, I send in that I don't want to trust the Rays, and I continually find myself when I look at the numbers being in good spots for the Rays and just nothing. It's nothing. So hopefully some of these teams can turn it around, but that Rays team, dude, they're brutal. This Phillies team is so hit or miss. Bohm kind of falling off a little bit, but I mean they're getting good matchups, man. They're getting those good matchups, and that's. You just got to let the variance come around, a little bit. Now they got Miami.
Yeah, the Rays gave me some early season PTSD. They're on the temporary ban list right now. I even saw our guy Legeza, who's one of the, in terms of betting, like very calm. I even saw him tweet about how the Rays suck. So that's how it's hitting everyone.
Yeah, dude, it was just like, how are you getting wrecked by freaking Chris Flexen, bro? Chris Flexen was just dominating those dudes and like blowing it by them with like a 9% swinging strike rate all year. It's like, dude, what are we doing here?
And they've seen him already. They saw him like 2 weeks ago. He got the win, or they beat them earlier. Like that's not even, you know what I mean? There's no surprise. They got beat by a guy that they just saw that we all know is awful. So yeah, that was an interesting. I'm very glad I did not play the no win for him.
Yeah, it was a weird slate. really weird slate. These last couple of days, I've been getting kind of hit pretty hard as well. So now I got every team in action. I don't have to force anything with a 5-gamer. We got every team going here. Sue, what do you want to talk about here as we get going into our plays for today?
Yeah, I mean, when I was looking at it, there's a lot of good matchups. Like I said, I'm obviously going to be kind of tapped into my Nationals versus Red Sox. That's definitely the priority for me right now. But I would say Glasnow, Dodgers, Padres is going to be a fun one. Talk about teams that are kind of weird. For me, the Padres feel like such a bipolar team, right? Sometimes they come out absolutely on fire, and then sometimes it's nothing. You know what I mean? But this is a big rivalry kind of thing. I see the Dodgers obviously heavy favorites for a reason today, but I think that's going to be a pretty good matchup for sure. I always like tuning into the rivalry matchups.
Yeah, the rivalry, and I mean, Michael King's been dog shit these last couple starts, but he was really good to start the year. So we saw the Dodgers get kind of shoved on by Ryan Weathers in that last game of that series. So just something else to kind of think about there. I kind of like some of these clash of style matchups, man. I kind of like that the late game hammer there in the Giants. I think that'll be a good spot. I'm also pretty intrigued with the Orioles and the Diamondbacks, both the teams that I do like to bet hits with. And I do like to fade Mr. Cole Irvin, but he's been good. Cole Irvin and Brandon Pfaadt both starting off the year pretty well. I'm interested to see if these pitchers can continue or if it's, a little flash in the bottle there a little bit.
Yeah. And I mean, one more that I feel the same way about that is got to be that Cubs Pirates one obviously Jones has been fun all year, but what about Assad on the other side? Javier, right? That's a guy we faded a couple of years ago when he got his first, introduction to the majors, and he's dealing right now. I mean, when you put his advanced numbers up there, even there with some of the better pitchers. So it's like, is that a guy that is going to continue pitching at the level he's pitching at right now? I'm not sure, but I think it'll be interesting to find out tonight.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. That Assad is just it's a weird guy. He finds a way to just miss barrels, and I mean, those are guys that like I'll back, but I don't back them willingly. I want to fade Jones. I do. I do want to fade him soon, but I don't know if it's going to be this spot with the Cubs away from home. I'm a guy who likes to fade the Cubs away from Wrigley. So this is kind of like I'm kind of up in the air about it. They're in a couple of the spots that I do like. So I want to fade them, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to tonight.
That's fair. And before we get away from the Pirates, this is the last time we'll be able to talk about it on the show. What are you thinking about Skeens tomorrow? I mean, one of the most hyped.
5.5. I saw he's 5.5 strikeouts.
It's 6.5 now, though. I'm pretty sure.
He's getting hammered, huh?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it got hit already.
I think it should. I just, with these young guys, how deep are they going to go?
Yeah.
Do I think he can strike out 6 or 7 dudes in 5 innings? Yes. Do I think that he's just going to come in and just be able to blow guys up right away? I think he has the stuff to do it. Just, nerves, all that stuff kind of comes into those first starts, man. It's tough.
Yeah, and the expectations. I mean, everyone's saying this is the most, hyped debut since like a Strasburg, in a very long time with obviously his LSU championship success, all the clips you see of this guy just blowing an average 100-mile-an-hour fastball by people. Like, a lot of eyes are going to be on this game tomorrow. So people in my Discord are already asking this morning. 6.5 minus 110 is FanDuel right now, current strikeout number. In the minors, the guy barely made it over like 5 innings, 4 innings. You know what I mean? So obviously he was K'ing like 9 dudes in 4 innings, but these are major leaguers now. So it'll be interesting to see how that translates. I said I'm not going to bet the over. I bet it gets steamed even more. I wouldn't even be surprised if we saw like 7.5 by tomorrow, which is crazy for a guy making his debut. But hey, it could be generational stuff, no doubt about it. That's almost what the anticipation is. So I'm just pumped up to watch. Obviously, more eyes to baseball in general is a good thing. And I think hopefully he goes out and shoves. I think that would be very fun for everybody.
Yeah, and I mean, these are the guys, right, that you want to back ladders on. I'm not batting a straight bet on this dude. No chance. You're going to bet that ladder because if he's cooking, 100, disgusting off speed. It's showing that he's got pretty good control as well. So it's like that would be a guy you'd want to bet the ladder on, especially before books can, really know what we're getting from him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm just worried, like, with how hyped it is, that, like, there's not even going to be a chance. There's no alt lines even up, and it's
Oh, there's
already
not.
gone
I
from
haven't
five
even
and a half.
looked.
Yeah, it's already gone from 5.5 to 6.5. So I agree with you, but I think they're playing it a little bit safe. Sure, they want to get a little early money, see where the bettors are at before they kind of set those lines. So, like, I bet 10 strikeouts is going to be like plus 600, something like really bad for a guy that's probably going to pitch 5 innings, maybe, So I don't know. I'm definitely curious. Like I said, I hope he goes out there and, 14 Ks, awesome performance. But I think the sports books will probably be pretty careful on that one.
Hey, they're smart, man. They're smart. Let's take a look at the chat. We got 25 live viewers, and we haven't even got to our plays yet. We appreciate you guys. I'm going to run through the chat. We got our boy Coop in here. Let's go. Yes, it's time to go. Let's talk about those plants. We got Stu with that new background. Hopefully that means some more winners here. We got Straight Sniper in. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I hope so, man. I don't bet on the crew very much unless I'm at the game. I'm very much a homer, like, for my crew, so I don't like putting my bets on them very much. I don't bet them like ever, unless it's like a game I'm at. Yeah, Cease just absolutely mowed them. Obviously, Cease is, in my opinion, probably a couple tiers above this guy, but yeah, and he's got that little bit of underlying. You're a White Sox for a long enough time, you're gonna hate the Cubs too. So you got that little bit of extra motivation. All right, Stu, you got NBA. Talk to us. What should we be looking for here before we get to your bets?
Yeah, I mean tonight's going to be a fun one. I think it's probably not necessarily from from a betting perspective. I guess not with Indianapolis as much. I think it's going to be a dog night. I think at least from the perceived expectations. I didn't realize Indy was actually 7.5 point favorites. I didn't realize it was that extreme. Last I saw, it was like in the 4-ish kind of range. But I mean, I do like the Pacers today. Like I said, I have big Knicks exposure on the series, so I'll be rooting against them like crazy. But they probably should have stolen that last game. It's now going to be the first game without OG. I think they're going to be able to take advantage of that. Brunson could be a little bit banged up. He's questionable. I think everyone in the world's assuming he plays. Which for good reason. I assume he's going to play too, but definitely a little bit scary in Knicks world right now. Hopefully they can regroup a little bit, but like there's no Bogdanovich on the bench. Like there's no depth at all, right? So it's not like there's going to be a playoff hero that's coming out of nowhere. Alec Burks is going to have to maybe play a little bit more, but Precious Achua is someone we know is going to play more. Like I think it's going to be a rough one for the Knicks today, but hopefully what I'm looking for is they at least get a semblance of a fight and they get a semblance of a game plan moving forward on how can we slow down like Pascal without OG? Who's going to score without OG? Because I don't know about you. I saw Josh Hart's line. It's at like 17.5 points. And his threes line is still 1.5, right? So we're asking this guy to do all of this on offensive rebounding, on driving to the rim. Like, that's brutal, man. I love Josh Hart. He's such a good player. He's probably going to play every minute of the game again. But, like, when you see his points at that 16.5, 17.5 range, that's when you know there's trouble because someone's going to have to score, right? It can't be Brunson scoring 80 points a game. So for me, that's kind of the biggest thing we see. I think the Knicks lose tonight, but I think who steps up is going to be the biggest question answered, right? Who can we kind of count on, moving forward, and what can we do in a series that likely OG is going to be out for the rest of it? It's not confirmed yet, but nothing I'm seeing from the Twitter doctor collective is looking good, right? And not that you can trust those guys forever, but we all got eyes. We all know what a hamstring injury is like when you're at the highest level playing, however, 48 minutes a game. So definitely a rough break for the Knicks, but I'm hoping they can regroup a little bit. And then for the Denver one, I'll get into that with my play a little bit more, but I like Denver tonight. I do. I'm normally, like I said, 99% of the time, I'm really never on I think this team needs a win, so I'm picking them tonight. And that's not what I'm doing. I'm still picking what I think is, if not the better team, an equally as good team. And I know Jamal Murray being banged up right now is hurting them. But if there's any time on like 4 days of rest between their last game where Jamal Murray can get something going, I think today's the day. I think Jokic comes out with some pretty insane intensity, and I think the Nuggets get a win. So I'm excited to watch it. Obviously, getting a win last game without Gobert, with Naz Reid, with Kyle Anderson, that was huge for the Timberwolves. So we know Denver needs to strike back. I don't think the line should be as aggressive as it is. I like Denver on the money line tonight.
Money line. Okay, what is the
Yep.
line on those? Like I said, I have not been betting MLB or NBA at all. So what are we looking at there for a line?
Right now, the spread is at 4.5, and the money line is plus 150 is the best on the market right now, plus 145 DraftKings. So
Okay.
I'm taking Denver outright. I just think that's aggressive. You know what I mean? I think these are good, both elite teams, maybe the two best teams there are in the whole thing, honestly. And I don't think it should be a 150 split either way, especially given the dire circumstances that Denver are now in, and some pretty solid rest for a guy like Murray, who looks like he definitely needed it out there.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, obviously Denver being pretty heavily favored coming into the series, but Minnesota's playing some good ball right now. We talked about MLB already. We talked about what games we're looking for. You already mentioned that game, so I'm going to just kick it over to you. I'll let you start us off, and then I'll get to some MLB.
Sounds good. We're going Jokic over 8.5 first quarter points. It's plus 110, not minus 110. We got plus 110 on this one right here on DraftKings. Is plus money across the board. I did a last minute switch. I was originally at 7 points, 3 rebounds. I liked the combination, but the more and more I thought about it, that extra bucket for that plus money price point was really worth it for me, especially when you kind of go back and look at the history. Jokic, he's a guy that when you're a center that has 10 assists per game, right? The like per game stats are always going to be kind of back and forth. He's at right around 8 first quarter points, right? But as we've seen so far in the playoffs, he's going to play every single minute of the first quarter. He's done that in each of his last 4 playoff games, both games in this series. In game one, it's Rudy Gobert in the paint. He scored 9 points. He went over this number. In game two, no more Rudy Gobert. We're not going one-on-one. Instead, we got freaking Kyle Anderson down there, which means when Jokic touches the ball, we got like 4 bodies, right? That's what has to happen. And obviously, they didn't help as much as maybe some teams would have, but it was a much different defensive game plan for limiting a guy like Jokic, where before they're saying, we're going to turn you into a scorer. You go one-on-one against Gobert. We got the defensive player of the year down there. If there's anyone that can stick with you, it's Gobert. And that's pretty solid logic. But we feel this way about elite players in any sport, whether it's the NFL where we get a guy like Stephon Diggs, right? In most games, you're seeing him against double coverage all game long, safety help all game long. But when you play Jalen Ramsey, they're going one-on-one. You know they're going one-on-one. And I want Jokic one-on-one, especially when we're now in an elimination game. So I know it's kind of crazy to be like Gobert's in the lineup. I like this more, but we know how they play Jokic when Gobert's in the lineup, and they play him straight up. They say, we're going to hound the rest of your guys. You think KCP is getting an open three? Nope. Michael Porter Jr.? Nope. We're going to have hands and faces all game long. And if Jokic wants to slowly score 40 points a game on Gobert in the paint, that's what's going to have to happen. And after watching these first 2 games, I think that's what's going to have to happen for Denver as well, because Murray does not look great out there. And even when Murray does look healthy, like he was in the regular season, they had the clamps on him in the regular season as well. This is a team that's better equipped to guard Murray than almost any other team there is, right? I mean, Walker Alexander, McDaniels, Edwards, Conley's playing good for his age as well. Like, they're throwing bodies at you all the time. So I think it's clear. We always talk about we want to be on the same side as the coaching staff. And I think they're going to make Jokic a score. And he hit this in the first game already against Gobert. He missed it last game. And then when you look in the regular season against Gobert, he's over in 3 of his last 4. His 1 miss, he still had 7 field goal attempts. They just weren't going in, and he ended up with 5 assists, right? He had those 5 assists. I don't think that's happening here. I don't think they're going to sit back and let him play make, because that's what they've shown all series. So if you want to make Jokic a score, I think he's going to come out aggressive early. He's going to play the full first quarter. We already know that. He's going to set the tone. I'm surprised this is plus money. I mean, I get he's inconsistent. He's over in 4 of 7 playoff games so far. When you look at the games he missed against the Lakers, right, it was kind of as simple as, oh, he had 5 dimes. Like, they were taking care of business. They were in control of that series. They're not in control anymore, right? You don't have that option to just sit back and hope KCP is going to knock down his first 3 in the last 25 games, right? Jokic is going to have to take care of business. I think he comes out early. I really like the plus money price tag on this one.
Yeah, man. I obviously like your talk about obviously Denver kind of winning the game as well. But you talked about the role players in game 1 on how that's kind of how Minnesota won that game when they were winning when Anthony Edwards was doing it. And I think Minnesota's going to kind of do that same type of thing. Obviously, you had a good breakdown there as well. So But that's something that I remember you talking about in that last game. I watched the game. Obviously, didn't really break it down much because I'm not betting on the NBA much right now. So, but that did make sense, right? Where you are still winning the game when that guy is getting his, right? He's got to not let the ego take over a little bit too much where you're just like, all right, we got to do everything we can. Where it's like, all right, we can still win when this guy gets his numbers. So, like that spot, I'm actually going to be going to a fade of a guy today, and I'm going to be fading Mr. Garrett Crochet. I'm going to go under 15.5 outs. I think this right now is probably one of the most brutal matchups that you can have, right? You have a really tough spot for Crochet facing off against this Guardians team who, very good against lefties, top 10 in OPS, top 10 in strikeout rate against lefties, top 10 in average against lefties. Obviously, they don't strike out really ever. And I looked at Garrett Crochet's numbers here on the games that he did hit this number. Obviously, early on in the season, he shredded the Braves when he was hot right away. But outside of that, he shredded the Braves and he killed Detroit, right? And then everybody was like, oh, this guy's legit, right? This guy's big time, right? Had a good outing against the Cardinals, who, again, I was betting Jose Quintana against the fucking Cardinals. Obviously, I think any lefty can shove on these dudes. So I don't even look at that. That doesn't even count to me. Then you go down. Minnesota had a 7K and a 6K outing. Didn't hit this number once against them. And those guys will strike out galore, right? But now you're going to have a team that's feisty, man. You got a team that's very, very good at putting the ball in play. Elite walk rates for a lot of these dudes on this roster. I really wish Steven Kwan was in the game, but I still think the middle of this lineup is a scary one to deal with. You look at Crochet this year. Yes, he has a 38% K rate at home right now. But again, I just told you that was against Detroit and Atlanta. He had 16 Ks in 13 innings to start the year. Those are the first two games. Outside of that, I haven't really been that impressed. And then when obviously you go up against the Guardians, no strikeouts. Crochet's sitting at that high of a strikeout rate. I think we can get a lot deeper in these counts. Also, I think that when we look at Crochet against lefties, because he's going to face a few in there today, which he usually doesn't. He has a 37% K rate against lefties, but also a 13% walk rate. So that obviously is going to push up the pitch count there. I think the combination of both Naylor brothers being from the left side. You got Andre Jimenez, who doesn't strike out that much against lefties from the left side. I think they're going to be more than willing to throw lefties against Crochet, even though he does have a super high strikeout rate. I think that's going to push this pitch count up. I think we get to a lot of full counts. And even on top of that, even if he is shoving, we saw him give up 2 runs against the Twins, 77 pitches through 5 innings. They didn't even let him go back out, right? Yeah. They didn't even let him go back out at all, right? And that's what kind of scares you if you're trying to go to this over, right? He does not have that many times going through a third time through the order. His left on base percentage is very, very good. In the third time through the order, his whip and stuff is very good, but he doesn't really have that many, opportunities, in those spots. So I think when you look at this guy, he's only got he's pushing like a 40% ground ball rate. So if we can start getting this ball up in the air today in Chicago, I think we can start seeing this ball fly out. It's going to be hot. I'm not usually the one pushing for Guardians to hit bombs, but I think you also have a team that will steal bases. Doesn't matter if you're lefty. They will steal bases. They want to get on. They want to give you high stress pitches. So if we can get into the 80s through 5 innings, it might look bleak, but they'll pull them, dude. Like, they're not pushing this guy all the way to the limit, right? Even last game, he shoved on the Cardinals, had 88 pitches through 6 innings with 3 hits, 1 run, and they still didn't let him go out for that 7th inning. I don't think they want him to be out there into that 6th and 7th inning here. So I'm going to trust the Cleveland Guardians. I don't need them to score a bunch of runs, but I would like them to keep that ball in play, keep working these counts deep, and I think Crochet can get out of there early.
Yeah, I think a good way to describe a lot of the Guardians is pesky. Like, they make at-bats long, like you said. They grind it out. They're that kind of team. And now they've added a little bit more power to it as well, which is obviously why they're playing well. Like you mentioned, the Naylor guys heating up a little bit over there. It's a fun team, and I agree. It's a team I do not like going over on pitching outs too, because like you said, they really just make it a little bit ugly. And then obviously the icing on top, and really one of the biggest deals is, like you said, these young pitchers. They're getting pulled early. Like, they're not letting them get super deep into these games. I mean, that's crazy to get 77 pitches five innings, solid outing, and to not let your guy go back out there. But that's becoming common practice now, so definitely use that to your advantage, and then use the name value to your advantage as well, because this guy came out hot and everyone kind of knows him. You know what I mean? But that doesn't necessarily mean a guy's like a phenom or anything like that. So definitely like taking advantage right here. I'm going to be telling you for sure.
Yeah, and you guys got to remember, this dude was a straight-up bullpen arm last year. Right? He was just a straight-up bullpen arm. Also, when you start seeing these guys, I know it's early in the season, but when you switch a guy to being a starter and he still tries to throw with the same intensity as a reliever, dude, it's going to run out. Right? You're going to start seeing this dude kind of run out of steam here. I'm expecting in the next month or so where you start to see this guy kind of slow up a little bit in that velo. But you got to remember, like Jordan Hicks, he was throwing 102. He is now sitting 96 consistent in working that ball down in the zone, trying to get back. He's trying to do, what he has to do to get outs, right? He's not going out there trying to strike out 10 dudes a game anymore. But I don't think Crochet has that in his system. I don't think he can, because he's that good and he has that elite stuff that he's just going to go out there and just try to strike out everybody. So I don't even care if he strikes out all 15 guys, bro. Doesn't matter. Obviously not going to happen, but I don't even care if he does, because guess what? Those are going to be probably quite a bit of deep counts. So sign me up for some Crochet under 15.5 outs.
Yeah, I'm Brian. And now we have this on tape just in case he does throw 15 strikeouts. And
15 strikeouts and I still win. I'm fading him. I love that. I see someone talking about my crew here. I'm not betting Yelich for about a week and a half. Long term, or a month off. Looked like dog shit yesterday. Looked awful. Everybody else looked good, and then there's Yelich. He looked like shit. If I'm betting anybody, I'm betting Terang, bro. I'm betting my guy, the homie. He's been on a heater, and now he's finally not in the 8-hole. Thank God. Figure that shit out a little earlier, Pat Murphy. Jesus Christ. That's terrible. All right. Stu, play number 2. Let's get it. We got 25 you guys in here still. Hit that like button for us.
Sounds good. Started out in the first game with Jokic in the first quarter. Now we're going to Pascal Siakam over RA. Minus 128 over on FanDuel. There's already a line difference. It's 12.5 on DraftKings. So you're already getting a little bit of value there. I don't mind the 12.5 at plus money. It's still a solid look. I'd probably go down to a half unit. Just because I'll probably be playing a little bit more Siakam today, whether maybe another half unit on PRA, maybe some kind of points look, because I think this is a good Siakam game. And to be honest, I thought last game would be a good Siakam game. I had him top point scorer. Everything was going well until, Halliburton popped off, all that stuff. But I still think this is a good look for him. Obviously, last game he was being guarded by OG Anunoby, who he looked pretty good against, honestly, even though that was his former teammate and one of the best defenders in the league. He actually still looked pretty solid against him. But that injury is huge, because now it's going to be Precious Achiuwa. They have no depth, right? This team, they really have nowhere else to turn to. So Precious played every minute when he went out post, and I expect Precious to be over 30 minutes in this game. I mean, Jericho Sims behind him, really? Like, I wanted Jericho Sims to be a thing 4 years ago, but there was never any development outside of exactly what he still does, which is block shots and miss bunnies. So I don't like that guy. He's not going to play, right? We know what Tibbs does. He's going to play his guys 40 minutes a game. So Siakam is suddenly going from one of the toughest defensive matchups of the year to a better defensive matchup. And I think that's going to mean more attention. I wouldn't be surprised if he starts hot right here and gets going, and they send a little bit more pressure his way. He's forced with the dump off. So honestly, I think RA and rebounds was a tough decision for me, but I do think the assist has some value there. But really the big thing is rebounds. I'm going to be playing the rebounds ladder. I like it playing here, and I wouldn't be surprised if he gives us 10 boards, because last game he had 9 rebounds on 16 rebound chances. And what that was guarding OG for a majority of the game, and then really popping off when he got to guard Precious, because he's going from a guy who's the second option on the team, who's shooting a ton of outside shots. You have to be on demand for that defensive assignment, to a 28% three-point shooter that you dare to shoot. You leave Precious Achiuwa wide fucking open, and you deal with the consequences. And what that means is he was in perfect rebounding position that whole second half of the game. And I really don't think they've accounted for that enough in this game. He obviously ended up getting that 9 boards in that game. I would have probably set his number at 9, maybe 9.5 for this game. So I think they're definitely a whole rebound off. The decision to go to rebounds and assists was pretty simple. Like I said, obviously, I think there's going to be a little bit more attention on his offensive game. But if you haven't noticed, besides Halliburton, this team scores in transition. That's like how they get stuff done. Pascal Siakam is super active in their transition game, not only as a scorer, but as the guy to give him those little easy dump offs, setting up Obi outside for three, setting up Nemhard, some of these other dudes, Neesmith outside. So for me, I just think the assist value is good enough to take advantage of, to add on right here, especially when FanDuel's hanging a better price than DraftKings is. We know Siakam's probably going to hit like 40 minutes in this game. They need a win. They absolutely need him to be out there as much as possible. And he has a great matchup to take advantage of, especially on the rebounding side. Because guess what? Who's his competition? A guy that everyone in the world, even if you barely know the NBA, Miles Turner is not a guy that's in the paint banging, right? He's out on the 3-point line, hanging out by himself. So that's the perfect center that you want to pair with a guy like Siakam for rebounds. I think it's a great Siakam game overall. I think he pops off. So definitely love Siakam playing this rebounds and assist look, -120 at FanDuel.
Beautiful. Love the breakdown as always. Yeah, we talk about it all the time, what the other team wants to do, and Achua ain't shooting threes, bro. He ain't out there shooting threes. So sign me up. I'm going to be going to a plus money spot myself. I saw you had plus money. I had to get mine in there too. I'm going to Logan Webb over 18.5 outs here, and I'm surprised they're continuing to give this at plus money because this dude has just been an absolute wagon for this at home, guys. Like, what more do you want from this dude at home this year, right? 8 innings against the Mets, 7 innings against Arizona, 7 innings against San Diego. And mind you, he had 7 innings against San Diego and gave up 10 hits in 85 pitches. This dude was getting barreled around. Like, that just destroyed all of his underlying metrics. That start alone. I love Logan Webb today. I love fading this Reds team going away from home. I think this is a fantastic spot for him. I talk about the Reds in Great American. They're third worst OPS in the MLB away from home. And obviously that has something to do with, probably playing in the best hitting park in the MLB when you're at home. Now you get to go to probably one of the worst. This is probably the biggest downgrade you can get, is going from there all the way to San Francisco. You just had a home stretch. Now you get to fly out there. San Diego, they just got beat by Slade Ciccone. Yeah, that's not a good look, dude. Like, that's not a good look at all. Logan Webb, obviously, a fantastic pitcher. Love this dude. I also think that he is getting extremely bad luck so far this year. A 361 batting average on balls in play against lefties is disgusting. I don't see that continuing. I also don't expect these lefties on the Reds to do anything with it, right? You got Ellie, who's fine swinging and missing. You'll just take daddy hacks and pretty much everything. Will Benson fell off a cliff. Now you have like Fraley and Friedel, like guys that I'm not worried about with power in this park. Also, Logan Webb has probably the longest leash ever, and he just got lit up by the Phillies. So he got destroyed by the Phillies through 98 pitches in 4 innings, guys. If you're anybody else, this dude's out of the game in the 3rd inning at 70. This dude's going to get you your money. He's going to be a dog fighting for your money, averaging under 4 pitches per plate appearance. That's, top 30, 40. There's a bunch of guys tied at 3.9, but he's right there, tied at the top, fighting for that spot. And also, dude, you just can get away with so much more in this park. The hard contact has been there, which I don't like. But at home, this is how I know that batting average on balls in play is coming down. At home this year, this dude has a 70% ground ball rate so far this year. Yes, I said 70%. I don't care if you're throwing bowling balls, dude. I don't even care if you're doing that. A 70% ground ball rate at home this year is absurd. 69.1 there. He's 50% on the road. Obviously, his home run to fly ball rate is pretty high because he only allows 13% fly balls to lefties so far this year. 13% at home this year. A lot of pulls, ground balls. I think this is going to be a fun little boring game to watch. Watching Logan Webb just work, throwing that sinker, really working that changeup down to those lefties. His changeup has been phenomenal to start the year. Obviously, he's been giving up a little bit of power, and like you look at the batting average and stuff, but dude has been getting 351 batting average on balls in play is absurd. Like I'm telling you right now, that is not gonna sustain over this whole season. And even if you want to go back, just go to last year alone. We'll just go to last year alone. His batting average versus lefties was down to 228 because his BABIP was 277, right? So all it does has to go down is a couple points, and you're going to start seeing this dude's numbers become elite. So I don't need strikeouts. I actually prefer them not to be strikeouts. Give me some ground balls, work deep in this game. Maybe sprinkle a little complete game if they offer it, because I think that he has the opportunity to do that in the spot here against this Reds first game of the road trip for them.
Yeah, I like Logan Webb a lot. I mean, we always say like at home is obviously where he is. You mentioned in your analysis right there with just the extra BS you get away with at that ballpark, and it's so perfect for him. I didn't realize the ground ball rate was that crazy, obviously, but if you know Logan Webb, despite being an elite pitcher, he's not one of those guys that's like trying to strike you out. Like you said, with the pitches per plate appearance, he's efficient. He gets through it very fast, and he's great at inducing soft contact, and that's perfect for the ballpark he's in. I'm a huge Logan Webb fan, so I get that 18.5 is definitely a scary number. Obviously, it's because it's one that not many pitchers get to, but it makes a lot of sense with his style of play and the matchup we got here. So definitely like Webb. Always love riding with him, especially at some plus money right here.
Yeah, you just got to get away from thinking about it. Just separate the numbers from it and just look at the straight data and don't even. Because it is scary. It is very scary to be like, oh man, this guy's got to go in the 7th inning. Like that's a long time. But
yeah, do you know who it killed me with for so long? Sandy. When Sandy was popping off with Miami, like it lost me so much money because I'm sitting there like, I know he's good, but I even with the matchup, even being at home, I just don't want to go over so and so number, And so obviously with Sandy, it just kept going up and up and up and up. So I definitely agree. It's good to just trust the data and try to take the number out of it because the books know that it scares you as well, right? That we're not the only ones that can figure that out.
Yes, sir. All right, Stu, let's recap. We went a little bit overboard here, but it's all good. We'll be ready to roll. Let's recap here quick.
Sounds good. We got Siakam over 11.5 rebounds and assists, minus 128 over on FanDuel. Then we're over on DraftKings now. We got Jokic over 8.5 first quarter points, plus 110 over on DraftKings Sportsbook.
Beautiful. I'll have a plus money spot as well with Logan Webb over 18.5 recorded outs. Then I'll be fading Mr. Garrett Crochet against the Guardians under 15.5 outs at minus 120. I do not believe we have anything here in the chat for questions. If you have them, drop them very quickly. We'll try our best. We still got 20 of you guys in here. Hit that like button. Stu, do you want to talk about long shots? Do you want to post it later? What do you want to do?
I'm good to talk about it. I have some long shots ready to go. We can go for the
Siakam double, I'd assume. Right.
It's not quite good enough. I did play it, but I'm doing something else. I'm doing Miles Turner to have 4 threes at plus 500. And I also played 3 threes at plus 200. And I did play Siakam the latter, but the double price is not good enough. But I'll talk about that in a sec. But for me, Miles Turner, it's what I was saying earlier. Obviously, when Siakam's in the paint, we know where Miles Turner is. He's out on the outside. And if you've looked at Miles Turner's game log against this team, it's so funny. Against the Knicks, it's 22 points, 22 points, 5 points, 23 points, 6 points, 22 points, 5, 6, 5, 20. Like it's boom or bust. He's either going over or he's staying way under. So for me, there's no incentive at all to play 17.5 points, whatever crazy number it is right now. For me, it's you're either going long shot or nothing. And how is Turner getting these spike performances? It's very easy to see. It's the games he's popping off from 3. And when you watch these games, they leave him open a decent amount. Hardenstein has to kind of watch the pain. He's out there. Like, they leave him open for these threes. So in a game where I see the Pacers having some success, I don't see Halliburton going nuclear every single game, especially when, quite frankly, he still doesn't look like fully healthy, right? Like, he got hot last game, but he didn't look better. He just got hot from 3. He's still not like blowing by guys. We're not, seeing the early season dominant Halliburton. So for me, I still think there's plenty of other opportunity. And I think Siakam's going to be a huge deal tonight, but I think that opens up space for guys like Miles Turner to kind of get hot every once in a while. So I like Turner 4 threes. If you want to get spicy too, parlay it with another shooting center in another game. I played it with Naz Reid threes as well. I think they're both very similar guys. I won't go for the crazy odds on the show right here, but if you add Naz Reid 3 threes, not even 4, just 3, it goes up to 2480 over on FanDuel right now. So 24-1 for two bench shooters that they're not bench shooters. Reed is a bench shooter, but two guys that their job is to shoot those catch and shoot threes when they're open, to space the floor for everyone else. And they're both guys that I think are going to get good looks. So I know Turner's a scary name, but he's a guy I'm not even considering for for like his straight props, but for the long shots, I think that's worth it. I see Paul says, would you take 5 threes at plus 1,000 and how many units? I would. For me, the way I would always do it is I would go down to a quarter unit or like 0.2 units for that 5, because you always want to make sure you're making money, if the lower rings are hitting as well. So I would go like 0.25 for the 5. But I do like that as well, for sure, because if he gets hot, he gets hot.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I like it. I think you just he's not gonna be bully balling, right? So you don't even he's gonna be standing out there. Like that's literally what he wants to do. Like his ideal game, he would not touch one person. Like there is no point where he would touch another person. All right, I'm gonna block your shot, but no contact, bro.
Yeah,
we're going up there. We're taking hacks, right? We're going at it. So I do like this spot. I think this is a good look for you. I'm going to go back to one of those daily things. I don't want to do the daily strikeout leader. I think those ones get hit a little bit too hard for your boy here. But I'm going to be going to the Cardinals-Brewers game for the highest scoring game. I actually really like this spot because plus 400 for this Rangers team against the lefty. Fuck no, I don't want to bet the Rangers against the lefty. I bet JP Sears' ass against this dude. Yeah. And I'm perfectly content not ever playing the Rangers against the lefties, especially with how many more are coming back in the lineup. But FanDuel's leaving a plus 1,000. They're tied with the Nationals Red Sox. All right, well, is the Nationals going to score on Houck? In my opinion, probably not. Houck's been fucking awesome. And the Red Sox aren't great against lefties either. I'm not saying Corbin's good, but I feel like I'd rather fade my Brewers bullpen. The Brewers bullpen's not as good as they have been. We've usually been very, very, very good. This year, middle of the pack. Same thing with the Cardinals. I also don't trust this Gasser guy. I know he's got a little bit of hype from him. Younger guy. I'm sure he'll probably blow up the Cardinals here because they stink. But, man, I don't think that we're going to be getting – I don't think we're not going to have success against Lynn today. I do think that we're going to have some success. I don't trust Yelich, but that doesn't mean I don't trust Contreras. Jake Bauers is 5 for 10 against this dude, right? I mean, who would have thought that, right? And now Gary Sanchez is starting to turn up a little bit. I think this is a good spot for the Brewers to come through at home. They've been very good in like these primetime games where there's a bunch of people in the stands. It's going to be pretty loaded there today. Beautiful day outside. We could even get the roof open. It's hot out. So I think that could be another spot to talk about. But I want to fade this Brewers bullpen as much as I can. I don't trust the middle of it. And they can't throw strikes. They got rid of one of our high leverage guys in Abner Uribe because he couldn't throw strikes, and he was on 103. Now he just can't throw strikes, so they sent him down. And we're just like kind of in that middle spot where they're just not great. There's no one you can trust in high leverage spots. In McGill, no. I'm not a huge fan of McGill at the end of this game. Again, do I trust the Cardinals to score? No, but I think I'd rather fade my Brewers middle relievers because I don't think Gasser's getting that deep in this game. So just got called up, obviously a higher end prospect for the Brewers, but I think that we could see some runs in this game. I can poke too many holes in the games that are higher, right? Alec Marsh is not good, but he's been better than advertised, and he's facing the Angels who suck. And like you go to Griffin Canning, dude, we've had games where Griffin Canning strikes out everybody, right? That's the second-ranked game. Then you have the Yankees-Rays, like Bradley and that bullpen. Yankees, I mean, I'm not trusting their starter, but let me see where it was. I just had the name of their starter on my tip of my tongue. Why can't I remember who's starting for them? Who's starting for the Yankees today?
I don't have it pulled up in front of me. I can check.
Clark Schmidt.
Oh, Schmidt.
And again, he goes 5 innings, strikes out 7 dudes, and is out of the game anyway. And then you get 4 innings worth of that bullpen who's fucking good, right? So I think this is the best spot. I think the plus 450 on Coors is just the Coors tax, and I'm good to fade that.
Yeah, I like the analysis a lot. Obviously, when you want to bet like this, you want variance, right? You want like high end variance. Like what could go wrong? What possibilities could open up? And obviously, in a baseball game, there are a lot. When you got a guy that's just called up, even if he's highly touted, you never know how that first start, or for earlier starts are going to go. And then obviously Lance Lynn, talk about variance. It's a guy that he shoves every once in a while, but man. Whoa, when Lance Lynn does not have it, those are meatball after meatball after meatball. And we've seen that for extended periods at times as well. And both offenses that have gotten it done at times, the Cardinals obviously underperforming way more than expected, but at least there are some names in there that you can point to, obviously, that can produce. So definitely like this at the price for sure.
Yeah, no, and that's all you're looking for. Lance Lynn could go out there and shove on these dudes. So, like, it don't matter to me if it's 1-0. I don't give a shit. Like, I'm pushing a plus 1,000 bet here, dude. Like, shit like that's gonna happen. But you want that here, and I think it's high enough where if we do split, it's still 5-1, right? You still get a nice split there, good payout. So, you got anything else for the people here as we head on out today? Almost an hour show today. We've been cooking.
Yeah, no, I mean, a lot of good spots today. I'll definitely have another couple plays or two just because, my official long shot, obviously, too, was that one. But like I said, I like the read threes. I'm looking at Siakam's prices now, 200 for 10 rebounds. That's better than the double-double price. Double-double's 190. It's plus 205 for 10 rebounds. And then 12 is plus 600. I mean, come on. The guy's he's going to be practically playing center in this one. And it's no longer a real threat he's guarding. He's now guarding a statue. So for me, I mean, there's a lot of fun stuff on today's slate. I'll definitely have a couple more plays. So if you want to, see all that, make sure you're following on Twitter. Make sure to join my Discord link in my Twitter bio. It's completely free. It's where I, give out a ton of stuff. It's just where I share all my thoughts. We hit Karis LeVert 15 points at plus 600 last night. When I get a line, 10 minutes before the game, it's hard to get to Twitter all the time and stuff. So always share it in there if you're interested in that kind of thing. Great community, great people, just like the show. So yeah, if you haven't already, leave a like on the video, leave a comment, question. Let us know what you're betting on today, or if you have any, questions for us. We're here 24/7. The show's in the middle of the day. We know not everyone can make it, so if you still got a question, we'll get to it. Just drop it in the comments below, and yeah, hopefully we made you guys some money. I feel great about my plays today. I think it's going to be a good show.
Yes, sir. I know. I like the plus money spots. We both got one. Should be fun. So thank you guys for tuning in. As always, we're here Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Wednesday a little earlier during MLB season. Summer schedule, we'll kind of talk about that. Me and Stu, obviously with my schedule being a little different, we'll figure that out when the time comes. But thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate it. Still 25 you guys in here. Hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Share it out. We're trying to get as many as we can. People seeing this and hopefully making a lot more people money. So thank you guys. Best of luck tonight and good luck this weekend.